Hi, everyone. Welcome to The Greater Good. It's been a little while since we've had a podcast, and that's because we've been super, super busy with all kinds of good stuff with the San Diego Harbor Police Foundation. But today, my focus is here on Chief Chuck Kaye from Coronado Police Department. Hey, Chuck, good to see you, sir.
Hey, great seeing you, Jeff. Thanks for having me on.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I only just learned like 5 minutes ago that you're retiring in like 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, January 4th will be my last day.
Why did they let you do that?
Well, I don't know. They can't keep me here, can they?
I think they should. I
Oh.
mean, you've done such a great job. I mean, just your presence on media and the hiring of your amazing officers and the great police work you guys are doing. I mean, you really put this place back on the map. So,
Well, I'd like to say this about that. You know this better than I do, that it's the people you work with that make the magic happen. And when I got here 5 years ago, there were a number of people in the department who had these aspirations for doing more and doing better, and letting them loose. They made it happen. I got a great PIO, Leah Corbin. We've got some fantastic cops. We have great professional staff. And over the last few years, they've been able to really change the image of the department in some ways.
wow, that's fantastic. But you and I both know that the job of chief of police is really very political. And so if you don't have a great working relationship with your city council or your board of directors or supervisors and whatnot, that job gets to be really challenging. So you must have really connected well with them.
Well, I would say this. I had 27 years at the city of San Diego, retired out as an assistant chief. And when I left there, we had a council, by and large, very supportive of the police.
Right.
I went to San Diego State University as a captain, a little more complicated political environment with the students, faculty. You're working for essentially the president of the university. So very different. And coming here's what I was immediately hit with. The people that live here want to be safe, regardless of where they fall in the political spectrum. I had some very interesting conversations with people throughout the city, and always at the end of those conversations, there was always a question: well, how are the cops doing?
Right.
The council here, the last 5 years, every one of them have wanted to make sure that they were supportive in some way. Obviously, we don't get everything we want in terms of budget and all that thing, but
Right.
what a fantastic place to be. We're not wanting.
No, that's fabulous. Well, history, decades back, this town got a bunch of money from the federal government because one of our presidents was here often. And that, I think, didn't that really bring in a lot of equipment and resources?
Well, that was years ago.
Right.
The stuff ages and you have to replace. There are still officers that work here that remember those times.
Yeah.
But I would say that we have evolved in terms of obviously basic police equipment, police cars. We got a boat approved this year. We have used camera trailers extensively for our special events, and the council approved the use of LPRs. We've always had LPR cameras on our police cars,
Right.
but now we're going to have fixed locations so that we can do a much better job of solving crimes that occur.
Well, the benefit is you only have two roadways in and out
It's
well, it's not really an island, but into the city itself.
well, we're looking at getting 9 cameras installed, and that should be a great start to hit all of the points where people would likely pass to
Right.
exiting or coming into the community.
Right.
And I learned while I was here, we're not an island, we're a tambolo.
Okay. Tell me about
A
that.
tambolo is a piece of land that is connected to another land by a thin strip of land.
Ah,
So there you are, tambolo.
somebody wordsmith that.
Yeah,
Otherwise, they have to change all of their marketing about this being an
but
island.
we are an island.
Yeah, unto yourselves.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's really a cool place. One of the neat things about this island is your 4th of July parade. I mean, it is truly the slice of Americana when you go and watch that parade, and the tens of thousands of people that line the streets and are so supportive of all the people that spend hours waiting and then spend, that hour or so in the parade itself. But it's really a really cool event.
Well, it's one of those events that everybody talks about, and as everyone is probably aware, when they plan an event like that, everybody in the city is just about every employee is involved somehow.
Really.
The police department, we're the point when it comes to security, but there's a lot of hands that go to making this thing work.
Right.
You got the 4th of July committee, you've got public services, you've got park and rec, you've got all the departments
Right.
that in some way or another are involved in this thing. And what is great about this event is that, the police department here, we're 46 budgeted sworn officers, 71 total with professional staff.
Right.
Do a great job. However, when you bring that many people into the island,
Yeah.
you need help.
Right.
And we are always amazed at the great support we get from our fellow police officers and the sheriff's department, Harbor PD, just to make sure that we can have a great, safe, and it's not just the parade.
Right.
Depending on when 4th of July falls, you've got the parade, you've got fireworks, you've got other activities.
Right.
And if it's a 3 day weekend, that's a
Yeah.
lot of folks in town.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Yeah. I saw a picture of your vessel. So that's really more of a lifeguard sort of public safety vessel. Is that,
Ye
or is it law
No, we're
enforcement?
we're not looking to compete with Harbor PD. But we did want to have a boat that the lifeguards could use for Glorietta Bay and
Right.
down at the Kays. We want to be able to fly the flag, especially around the wildlife preserve in the South Bay,
Right.
because we get a lot of complaints, concerns about jet skiers and other
Sure.
boaters that are going way too fast.
Yeah.
It'll be an opportunity to add to the already great job the Harbor PD is doing.
No, that's great. Yeah. So tell me about that. I mean, the Port of San Diego, I guess they are landlords for a portion of the property. Is that accurate here?
Well, they have there are agreements throughout the South Bay, throughout the Portlands. They have charged us with the responsibility of doing law enforcement on the Portland property.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's good partnership for sure.
Yes.
I know when I speak with Chief Fernandez, she just has nothing but the best things to say about your department, along with all the other departments, that they collaborate with. So, yeah, that's excellent. So, all right, so you're retiring January 4th,
Yes.
and then do we know what's up? What's happening next?
Well, this will culminate in 33 years of being a police officer, being in law enforcement. And when I came to Coronado as a chief, what a fantastic opportunity. And I wanted to make sure that I didn't overstay my welcome. And the last few months, I've taken a look around, and what I think I've realized is that, hey, we have come as far as we're going to come together, and
Mhm.
it would be a great opportunity for somebody else to continue the momentum forward.
Yeah.
There's great people. Obviously, we talked about the great support from the city. Personally, my wife has asked me not to really make any crazy decisions about another job for a few months. She
Good
wants me to
idea.
just kind of settle down and really decompress and think about what I want to do. I am fortunate. I do part-time teach at the police academy, and I also teach for post for the new lieutenant school. So I'll
Excellent.
have things to do.
You'll still be keeping your fingers in the law enforcement world at some level.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's exciting. Well, your wife is very smart. I've retired once or twice in my life, and those times when I jump into something right away, I usually regret.
Right.
Not because it was a bad decision, but I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
I remember one time I retired, and I decided I wanted to become a winemaker. And so I went to UC Davis to viticulture school. And then I got out, and all my buddies said, "So what? What are you going to do with all that, Mr. Smarty Pants?" And so I said, "Well, you're all going to give me a bunch of money, and we're going to open a winery." And so,
Where's your winery?
well, I sold it 3 years ago. It was
Yeah.
in Napa.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was really a fun adventure, but it didn't start out all that well.
Yeah.
It was more like, "What are you doing? You've never made wine." So anyway.
Well, my daughter got married almost 2 years ago, and
Mhm.
she married a guy who actually grew up in Napa.
Mhm.
So he's kind of fun to travel up to Napa because he knows
Yeah.
a lot of people and a lot of wineries.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I am also attracted to that
Right.
romantic lifestyle of being a
It's
winemaker.
a good place to
Yeah,
be.
yeah,
It is so gorgeous. You're right. Yeah, I love going up there. But it is important to, to know people in that environment, because then you get the library wines, that special selection,
right.
that vintage year they've been
Yeah,
hiding in a cave somewhere,
that's
and
right.
crack it open for friends and
Yeah.
family, and the good food and all that. Well, that's fantastic. Well, I'm excited. So maybe since you were an assistant chief at SDPD, uh, a good friend of mine, Boyd Long, who you know well, I'm sure, he's always looking for people to come out there to the casino world.
I actually just talked to Boyd last week.
Uh-huh,
We used to ride motorcycles together. He sold his,
uh-huh,
but yeah, I actually worked for him. Gosh, when he was an assistant chief. Well, I worked when he was a
mhm,
sergeant. I worked for him in operational support.
uh-huh. Yeah, good guy.
Yep.
We do a lot of our human trafficking awareness training
Yeah.
at Boyd's operation. What a tight ship he runs. Oh my gosh. I mean, nothing gets by those guys. They are so on it in
Yep.
terms of, customer support with a smile and a handshake, but you can feel pretty assured that you're safe there.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great traits that they have. We work a lot with the casinos throughout the county in our human trafficking area, and hope to continue doing that. I don't see, well, I did have the pleasure of interviewing a couple of high school girls when they were still in high school. They're kind of related to these people here. And I had this delightful conversation about sexual exploitation and human trafficking here in Coronado. And they were shocked to learn that pretty much every single high school in the county has human trafficking incidents or occurrences, documented cases, and people wonder, they go, this is one of the wealthiest zip codes in the nation, Rancho Santa Fe, these places like that. How can there possibly be human trafficking going on? Do you have experience in that?
Well, working over in San Diego PD, I worked 2 tours in the sex crimes unit. Here in Coronado, we haven't had any large overt issues, but I think the thing that you know well is people's exploration into the internet and the different social media sites and things like that. That's where people can be contacted and get themselves
Right.
in a position they're not wanting to be in.
Yeah.
So the awareness with and I know Safe Harbor here in the community, the high school, our own school resource officer worked very hard to impart those little bits of wisdom about how we keep ourselves safe
Hmm.
and keep away from the predators.
Yeah, you're right. Social media is probably the largest uptick in the history of human trafficking
Yep.
in the world.
Yep. You know, when I was a patrol cop many years ago, it was on the sidewalk, right, Elkhorn Boulevard,
Right.
and now it's all on the internet.
Yeah, the blade still exists,
Yeah.
but it's really more of a footnote in
Oh yeah.
terms, that's the visual perception that most people have. They go,
Yep.
well, my daughter doesn't dress like that. My daughter doesn't look like that. My daughter doesn't go to El Cajon or on
Yeah.
the Strip or the Blade or wherever, the perception is. But your daughter has a computer, and
Yeah.
your daughter, and I say daughter, it's because, a super majority of traffic
Yeah.
people are women,
Yeah.
although the uptick in men being trafficked is increasing, but it's still a super majority is women.
I went to a great training class a couple of months ago, and it was for sheriffs.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly Martinez hosted it, and I saw it, and I went. I was the only police officer there. The rest of them were sheriffs.
Yeah.
And there was a great segment about human trafficking from the Human Trafficking Task Force, and they had a survivor on there, and she talked about being brought up in a great home, going to college, and somehow she was approached at college and ended up getting into the lifestyle
Yeah.
and is out now. But she just reflected on how it just was a gradual thing, and before she knew it, she was being physically threatened by this guy,
Right.
right? And that's how it goes.
Yeah. The grooming process is really sophisticated.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I mean, these traffickers they have more resources. They have greater access to their products, which
Yeah.
are the women,
Right.
than law enforcement. So the best thing that you and I can do, because your department, you have 46 sworn,
Mhm.
uh, covering this entire island. It's a big responsibility, and to allocate resources specifically towards that would be a challenge. Plus, you're limited in terms of what resources you do have. But the real answer, the only answer, is for awareness. You know,
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Discover Coronado has been working with all of the resort sites here,
right.
and I think I don't think last summer we actually got a call from one of the local hotels, and they had some concerns about what they were seeing in this room, and we got great support from the Human Trafficking Task Force, and we're out there and able to intervene in that situation.
Nice. Good job. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Dan Deerdorf and that whole team are good
Yep.
buddies. In fact, we had Dan on this show like what 3-4 months ago. I mean, he's super. He's in our training,
Yeah,
actually.
I worked with him over. He's a great guy.
Yeah, yeah, along with Summer Stefan, who's like a godsend. I mean,
Let's just take a minute and think about what a great district attorney we have in the county of San Diego. When you look across the state of California
mhm.
and you see the turmoil and the concern and the crime issues, my personal opinion, DA Summer Stefan has worked every way she can to make sure that we're still prosecuting the right crimes in this county.
I mirror that, second it, high five it. I
Yep.
mean, however you want me to
Yeah.
describe it, but she is an amazing person. Well, you and I attended her last swearing
Yeah.
in ceremony, and there were what, 200-300
Yeah.
people in the room.
Yeah.
This was after the county event,
Right.
which
Yeah.
was, a lot of people being
Yeah.
sworn in. But when someone said, I guess it was maybe her chief of staff said, "Uh, guarantee every person in this room thinks that Summer Stefan is their best friend." And I looked around at myself and I said, "Self, yeah, I'm one of those people."
Yeah.
I mean, she takes my phone call at 11 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
answers emails 24/7,
Yep.
responds with support for pretty much
Yep.
everything I have ever asked of
Yep.
her. I mean, granted, we give back,
Yeah.
we try to reciprocate wherever we can, but you're right. Especially, as you head north into, other
Yeah.
jurisdictions, other
Right.
counties, and as both of us have a good friend in Chief Mark Stainbrook, and, they really struggle with
Yes.
prosecutions.
Yep.
They bring in solid evidence-based
Yep.
cases, and they just don't get prosecuted.
Correct.
And that comes from the top down, which is political,
Yep.
unfortunately. So speaking of LA, as you know, Chief, we have a really robust training program here in San Diego County on human trafficking awareness. And a few months ago, we got invited up to LA by the district attorney's office. And we're in the process right now of creating a similar program for LA County.
Well, congratulations. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, we're really excited because, like I know you and I agree, without awareness, people have no idea.
Right.
I mean, you and I could walk out on the street right now and stop 10 people in a row and say, "What does human trafficking look like?" And they're going to describe what happens on what is known as the Blade,
Right.
where scantily clad young women, are selling their bodies 10, 15 times a day. And that they're going to be people of color, and they're going to be, they're going to have all these perceptions, and practically none of it is true.
Yeah.
Or because we're at the border, people think that people are kidnapped or brought in here illegally from Mexico to be trafficked. Not true. 95% of all women that are being trafficked are US citizens. So, people just don't know,
Right.
so takes guys like yourself and me and others, Sarah, this program where we can really exploit what we do know to be true, especially since it's evolving so dramatically.
All the time.
Yeah, yeah. So you've been here in Coronado 6 years?
No, actually 5 years last October.
5 years. So what's the best thing that's ever happened here for you?
I don't know how I don't know how to distill it down to the best thing. Um, when I look at, being a part of the County Chiefs and Sheriffs Association, and I hear the challenges that are being experienced across the county,
Right.
just I guess, the support of this community stands out in my mind.
Right.
When I got
Right.
here, I'd walk the business district and so many people take an interest in their police department, welcome me. How do we help you?
Right.
Thanks. They always tell me what a great job the cops are doing. So I think the thing that stands out is the great community support and also the great people we've been able to hire over the last 5 years. We're fully staffed in all of our positions, sworn and non-sworn.
Yeah.
We have a fully staffed dispatch center, and the quality of the people that want to come here, they come here, and repeatedly I'm told, well, I want to come work in a community where I'm going to be supported. I want to work in a community where I'm going to be allowed to be a police officer. And I want to work in a department where funding is not a crisis.
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
So the disparity in wealth between your police officers and the people that reside here, that's got to be a challenge in terms of where do I live if I'm going to work in Coronado?
But I think if you look across the county, that challenge of housing, when I was at San Diego PD, we struggled with
Right.
a lot of our cops were in outside of San Diego County commuting every day
Right.
because of the affordability of homes. I think across the county, that's a concern. Years ago, there used to be a first-time buyer program for cops,
Right.
and they could get into something. I think it was an FHA program, but housing for cops it's a real concern. You talk to Chief Kennedy, you talk to Chief Neslight, talk to any of these chiefs, they're going to tell you, yeah, where do my cops live?
Exactly.
We're fortunate here in Coronado, the people that work here,
Yeah.
we've got a handful of cops that live here in the city.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of spending time in Atlanta on a training mission, and their PD down there, they have a foundation that is so robust. It's probably the largest police foundation in the nation, and they have something in the magnitude of 2,500 apartment dwellings and single family homes that they provide officers, especially the new recruits. Like they put them in like a condominium for the first year till they get,
Wow.
off probation, and then
Yeah.
they're subsidized, essentially.
Wow.
And it's an amazing, amazing program. And because of that, they develop that loyalty within
Yeah.
the department
Right.
where the officers feel like, okay, I live here. This is my turf, my
Yeah.
territory, my jurisdiction, and I live, and I work here, which is the ultimate goal.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen here in San Diego County, but
No, what a great idea.
it really is.
Yeah.
It just all it took was the will of the corporations and
Yeah.
the wealthy individuals who are willing to support that foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Well, you're leaving, so it's too late. Now, your PD does not have a foundation, does it?
No.
No.
We have the Frank Green Foundation. It's not the foundation like you have.
Right.
That foundation was brought together. Lieutenant Frank Green, the only officer in Coronado history to be killed on duty.
Mhm.
And that foundation is solely set up to support the members of the organization,
I got you.
not the department needs, but
I see.
individual folks.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, that's exciting stuff. So when you say support that group, what does that mean?
If there's if they have a medical issue, they got maybe a death in the family and they need to fly somewhere,
Right.
it's really, it's really up to the foundation and their board of directors as to how they support the cops. But it's generally medical issues, helping with bereavement leave.
Mhm.
And if there's some other unusual crisis that comes up, then they can step in and help out.
What are you doing here about resilience, officer resilience?
Well, I think what sets us apart from other agencies in the county, when you come to Coronado PD as a member of the organization, time off is not a challenge. If you want to go to training, that generally is not a challenge.
Mhm.
We have broadened people's responsibilities to get buy-in on certain things like bike patrol. We don't have a bike team. We have officers that are bike trained.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we have a boat now. We don't have a boat team. We have officers that are boat trained. So it's really pushing down the responsibility, letting them understand what they can bring to the organization, setting them free to do that,
Mhm.
and also our wellness position.
Mhm.
We have chaplains in the organization. We have contracted with Focus
Mhm.
Psychological Services,
Right.
and we try to work very hard to make sure that if people, like I said before, without repeating myself, but time off is a very very important thing to cops these
Right.
days,
Right.
especially the younger generation of cops.
Mhm.
They want a work life balance.
Right.
I didn't come up with that. I still haven't figured out what that is, but
You're about to.
yeah, I'm about to. But the new folks, they want their time off to be respected.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a huge challenge for our department. We were way understaffed
Hmm.
for quite a while. I
Yeah.
mean, we have our numbers up, but we also have 30 officers in training,
Right.
or
Yeah.
what we call onboarding
Yep.
if they've graduated from post, but
Yep.
they still
Yeah.
they need to learn how to be a cop,
Yeah. And Harbor PD's got a big job. And I think it's the most underpublicized role in the county. You got the airport, you got the security in the port here.
Mhm.
There's a lot going on.
When Chief Stainbrook, and I don't know if you know how we met. So Mark and I'm a martial artist, and
Oh,
yeah, 54 years I've been training, still trying to figure it out. But he showed up one day in our dojo with his two children who were quite young at the time, and I didn't know what he did.
yeah.
When you're in the dojo, you pay attention to what's going on in the
Right.
dojo unless you want to get punched in the face. So it wasn't, but maybe a couple of years later, he showed up in uniform, and then I go, "Oh, so you're a cop." And so then we shared our cop lives together and became closer and closer. And then he kept complaining that he didn't have any resources to do any outreach in the community or provide for stuff at Perkins K-8 school or any of that, or even bereavement. It
Right.
just wasn't in their budget. So we started the foundation in the last part of 2018, and I said just what you said. I said, nobody knows who you are. If I can stop anyone on the street, even people that have lived here forever and have boats,
Yeah.
and say, who is that officer over there? And I said, San Diego Police Department.
Right.
And I said, we have to change that.
Yeah.
So we've been working hard at that, and I think it's happening. But what we did is I took almost, according to Assistant Chief Jeff Geary, about 85% of his total resources, and we put together a Harbor Police Day, and we showcased everything that department
Right.
does, and we brought in the media and all that, and it was amazing that people they were profoundly shocked that that's a separate police department.
Yeah.
You guys are the
Yeah.
guys on the water, and so
And I'll tell you that the organization, when I was at San Diego PD, when I was a sergeant in sex crimes, I might have been a lieutenant. We came to work one morning and there had been a sexual assault at one of the hotels on the Portlands.
right,
And historically, that would be a San Diego PD sex crimes case.
right.
And it's like, well, no, Harbor PD's handling that.
And you, what?
And I'm all, what? And I think that's when I met Mark. He was the assistant chief over there, and we had a
Right.
meeting.
Right.
And Mark Bulldog worked hard to uncouple that relationship with San Diego PD in terms of, hey, we can do our stuff.
Yeah.
And I was, even when I was a captain at Central Division, which is the downtown division, all those hotels, what a great experience working with Harbor PD. They wanted to, hey, this is our area. We want to make sure we're taking care of it. And I think years prior to that, there kind of been a reputation of, well, we're going to have to handle that
Of course.
but what a great job they've done making that department what it is today.
Well, I don't want to pat my foundation on the back, but I'm going to. That's what I do, right, Sarah? So when we started the foundation, I looked at that issue just like a lot of people and said, this is our jurisdiction. These are our hotels. These are our officers. And I said, let's create a human trafficking liaison officer team. And so we took we put out a memo to the department, said who wants to join this team, and so we figured we had funding for 5 slots, And that included, like $10,000 per officer for training and, a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And so we got 14 applications from the department. And I went to my board and I said, we got to dig deep. This is a big, big issue. And so we actually engaged all 14 of those officers. And now we have the largest HTLO team in the nation.
Well, congratulations.
146 sworn officers, small, mid-sized department. So 10% of that department is specially trained. So now we're a force in the county,
Right.
a resource that didn't exist. And like you said, that all started back with, Chief Boldock and yourself and the San Diego Police Department with that perception. Well, they're just water guys, the airport people and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah. No, don't underestimate Harbor.
Well, I don't know if you were around for the Trump rally.
Yeah.
Okay, so that my job in that was working with the team. We planned how we were going to manage that event.
Right.
And short version of that is Harbor PD, Chula Vista PD, the Sheriff's Department, people from all other agencies in the county. We wouldn't have been able to successfully manage that event had we not had all that support. And Harbor PD took the responsibility of security for the convention center. I don't know if you remember that, but
I do.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's their land.
Yeah. Yeah. But they, it was a great day in many ways. We had nobody injured.
Right.
No building got burned down. And I don't know if you remember the Trump rallies across the country.
I do.
There was just a lot of craziness, and we did not want that, especially in the gas lamp.
Well, that's a really good point. I mean, and it's not just Harbor PD, but your department as well. I mean, when there was unrest and La Mesa was getting pretty inundated with issues, there were officers from pretty much every single department in this county that were there. And that goes back to your Chiefs Association. And, I've spoken to that group a couple of times. And I mean, there is such a nice dynamic in that room.
Yeah.
I mean, things get done.
Yeah, that time period, I'm especially proud of the officers here. I don't know if you were aware, but we had a group from Logan Heights, San Diego side that wanted to walk across the bridge and create some havoc here.
Right.
And our officers went right up to that bridge and created a blockade to keep those folks out.
Yeah.
And then within a day or so, within that time period, they were also out in La Mesa.
Yeah.
So, great work.
Yeah. Well, that's what it takes.
Yep.
Nice collaboration.
Yep.
Well, I want to thank you so much for spending time with me today. I'm just so excited that you're have a new life to look forward to in your retirement. I'm sure you'll land doing things that are exciting and challenging for you as long as your wife approves.
That's right.
Yeah, you have to keep our wives happy. That's for darn sure.
Exactly.
I also want to thank the San Diego Harbor Police Foundation for funding and supporting this podcast that I put on. As I always say, I like to bring people here that have a real story, and Chuck Kaye has a real story, and you're a great hero. And thank you so much for everything you've done for San Diego County. All your years of service just didn't go unnoticed. So thanks so much.
Thank you.